And we're live.
Good morning. Welcome to sunny Newark, headquarters of the SAA this morning. Beautiful drive up in the sunshine. My name's David Lewry. I'm a professional artist from Bedfordshire. And today we're going to show you how to draw a black-faced lemur on black paper, which is quite interesting. I'm going to work in coloured pencil, which is an increasingly popular medium. A lot of my pupils and students like it because it's very easy to get on with. You haven't got the problems of painting with a brush. It's also very clean and you can put it down and use it. So I like using it for botanical illustrations and also, as I'm going to do, for natural history. It's very good for doing fur. One of the only disadvantages is it can take a lot of time. Some of the pictures that I've got behind me here, for example, might take 60 or 70 hours. Well, I've only got 35 minutes this morning, so we're going to have to rush through it. But first of all, let me introduce you to the paper that I'm going to be using. This is a Canson pad. They're pastel paper, and this is all black paper, lovely paper. A little bit designed for pastel paper rather than for coloured pencil is to use the wrong side of it. There are two sides. One's got slightly more tooth on than the other, and the other's smoother. So I like to use the smoother side. So I've got that down onto the board here. And how do we get the image actually onto the board? Well, with coloured pencil, it's important that you don't handle the paper too much so you get grease on it. So what I like to work from a fairly detailed drawing that I've done from my photograph, and then I transfer it down onto the paper using trace down. Now, some of you may have come across trace down before, and you're going to say, well, how does that work? Because it's graphite on a black paper. Well, you can get white trace down paper, and that's what I use there. So we put that down, put our drawing on, and then draw through, and we get the image on the paper. So that's what we're going to work with. Another little tip, it does come through quite bright, so what I like to do is just sort of take a little bit of the colour off with a putty rub or something like that, so I can just about see it, so that I've got plenty to do. Now, as I say, we've got to crack on, because to do this in the time is going to be quite interesting, so I must put the old goggles on. Now, I learnt a long time ago from a very good artist called Colin Bradley, the most important things with animal portraits is the eyes. So I always like to start off with the eyes if I can. So that's what we're going to do with this fellow here. And I'm actually going to use a white pencil. Now, the pencils I'm using for this are something I use a variety of different makes, as most coloured pencil people do. But for this particular project, and I find it works very well on the pastel paper, I'm using Derwent's Colour Soft range. These are much waxier, much softer pencils than I would normally use. In fact, for the majority of my work, I actually work on a hot press watercolour paper, but you can't get black watercolour paper, so we're using, as I say, the pastel paper. Now, the first thing I need to do as far as the eyes are concerned is to get rid of some of the black, because we want them nice and bright. So I'm actually going over the eyeballs themselves with a white Colour Soft pencil. And the key to this is not to press too hard and not to try and build up too many layers. If you do, you can find that the paper almost becomes saturated with colour and it won't take any more. So I'm doing it quite carefully this first little bit and filling in with little circular strokes so that we fill in as much of the black paper as we can. I'm then going to swap over to a cream colour and just go over the top of that. Now, the key with any animal's eyes is to get as many different colours in as you can, provided they're the colours that are in there, of course. But if you look carefully, particularly at things like cat's eyes or tiger's eyes, there's loads of different colours in there. And if you can identify those, that is the key to getting them coming out. Now, the other little tip that Colin Bradley passed on to me, he said, there is a magical moment when these eyes suddenly come alive. It can be quite scary if you're doing it on a big screen, but that's what we're aiming for. And it will take a few colours, a few layers like this before it happens, but hopefully you'll be able to see it on the screen. So this little fella here has got very bright orangey yellow eyes, so I'm gradually building up the colours coming through from the whites. And this is a lemon yellow, quite an acidic colour. But as I'm going round in circles, you can see that's the thing colour pencils, you get little bits fly off every now and again. But we're filling in all of the black space so that we're gradually building up this really intense colour. So we've had 3 colours on there so far. We've had the white, the cream, and now this yellow. And these first 3 layers, I've just been really working around in circles so that it builds up. But now we're going to start adding a little bit more detail to it. So I've got a colour here called deep cadmium, which is a yellow. And now what I'm going to do is start working from the outside and inwards like this, dragging the colour in. I liken it to being the sort of spokes of a bicycle wheel. Everything's pointing towards the centre, like that, and we drag it out from the pupil. We do this one as well. And now we're really starting to get some intense colour down on the eye itself. Now, before I go any further, I just want to put a little bit of white highlight on the outside edge of this eye where it catches it. And we'll also build in a little bit more highlight as a spot on that one there. The actual photograph, there's not too many bright highlights on it, but it just adds a little bit more life to the creature if we put that in. So now we're gradually getting darker and darker with the colours, and we've got a colour here called bright orange, which is rather a nice colour. And again, I'm going to work this out from the centre, like the spokes of the bicycle wheel. There we go, and also from the outside edge. Now, as I say, these Derwent pencils, you can get them from the SAA, and you can buy them individually as well, so that it's an important thing with coloured pencils. Most sets have got quite a few varieties in them. A lot of them have got up to 120 colours. So you want to be able to replace them. You'll find that depending on the type of subject that you work with, you'll favour some colours more than others. If you're a botanical artist, you like the sort of purples maybe and the pinks. For wildlife artists, it's more the browns and the greys. So you need to be able to replace them, not to have to buy the whole set again. So that's why with the manufacturers and the pencils that the SAA do, you can buy individual ones to back up your set as you go. And you can mix and match them as well. You'll find most coloured pencil artists will do that. So sometimes I use the Derwent, sometimes I use the Faber-Castell, and they also have better colour ranges. Some of them are better in the oranges, some of them are better in the pinks and things like that. So they're quite mixable. You can mix and match them. So now you can see we're really starting to get some intense colour in there and the character coming in the eyes. So I'm now going to put in the actual pupil, and I'm going to do this with a black pencil, and this is what I'm saying I'm mixing and matching, because now I'm going to use the Faber-Castell Polychromos pencil. It's a harder core, which means that you can be a little bit more precise with it and press a bit harder. So we're going to put his nice pupil in there, and this is round about the point when it starts to sort of come alive a little bit. Okay, so we'll put that in. Now the magic bit, we're going to blend it together. And I'm going to do this with the white pencil again. And I'm going to blend it in the same direction as I put the colour in. So we're going to blend it from the outside to the centre and from the centre to the outside. And what this does, it will force the colour down and give us a really smooth glossy surface which will look like the eye. And we can then build it. So I'm pressing quite hard. You can probably hear the sort of resistance that's coming on there. Like that. Blow away the excess, and we'll do this side as well. Now, what that means, it gives it a sort of a painterly type effect, and in the hands of a really good coloured pencil artist, quite often you hear people walk up and look at a picture and say, is that really coloured pencil? Because it can look just like watercolour or even oil paint. It's one of the reasons why now quite a few botanical artists are using it, because you can get very accurate colour and very precise things with it. So what I've got is a very smooth surface there, blended, and it means I can then go back to, say, the orange colour and put that over the top again. And we end up with this very subtle blend of different colour. Now, a little tip I picked up a while ago when I was doing this. I looked at the pupils on some of the creatures I was doing. Pardon me, get blow that out of the way. And I thought they look a bit precise, they look a bit sort of clinical. So what I find is a good idea is to actually drag out the black a little bit from the pupil into the iris. So we're just going to make that edge a little bit fuzzy. Keep the black in there, and it just gives it a little bit more character. Now, we're going to put in a glossy sort of highlight across the top of it, which should really make it come alive. You can see now the colour's very intense on it. But I've got a big shadow, or highlight really, that comes across the top here. So we're going to smooth that in. There we go. And again across the top there of that one. And we can take it a little bit across the pupil as well. We're almost there with the eyes. They're sort of really starting to come alive. And this is where the black pencil comes in again. So we'll just re-emphasise the centre. And then I'm going to go round the outside of it, like this, tidy up the edge. Go right the way round like that. Do the same on this side. And now the critical part to make it look three-dimensional, and this is when it should really start to burst into life. I'm going to gradually start shading on the top here from my very black and bring it down until it fades out and we've got a shadow, because the eyeball is just a sphere really, so we need to make it look three-dimensional. We'll put a little bit down the bottom as well there, and a little bit down the side. And then we can blend that out. Now I've actually got here a colourless blender, which Faber-Castell do, and also Derwent do one as well. And all that is, it's just a pencil without any pigment in it. It's just the waxy core or the oil core. And so you can blend with that. You can also use a paper stump as well. And we can blend all the colours in together, get the shade in there as well. And we need a little bit of shadow on the top edge of this one. And I think he's sort of suddenly woken up there. That's a touch more white. Now, another little thing I use and I've discovered with this is that Derwent do, obviously the Coloursoft range, they do their ordinary range of pencils. They also do a drawing pencil, which is this one here, which is in from their sort of drawing range. This is even waxier. So if you want a really white finish, even on top of that, we can use this. And you can see, even on top of all that colour, points are breaking off all over the place, there we go. We can get a really intense white. Now I'm going to use that particularly to do the white fur later on. But I think we'll leave the eyes like that. And now we just need to refer to our photograph here and start, there's a little bit of highlight I've just missed out on the right hand side, just where it goes down into there, so just put that in. And then I'm going to extend this black out, which is really all round the sort of eyelids of it. They've got very intense eyes. These pictures and the other ones, which I'll show you later, were all taken at a wildlife park. And I sort of shot off several hundreds of pictures of these and then sort of selected the best ones and also sort of did a bit of change them around and put them as I wanted them. It's best if you're going to go and do that, it's great fun to do it. Get there if you can early in the morning before the crowds get there, and also then the animals tend to be sort of more awake as well. And with modern cameras now you can sort of fire off lots of different shots and choose the best ones, but always look to try and get the best sort of character, what actually makes them. Now you can see this eye here now really sort of has come alive, it looks glassy like. So we're just going to put a little bit more down here, a tiny little highlight in the corner. And I think that's the eyes pretty much done. But what I'd like to do now is to work outwards from the eyes. Once I'm happy with them, as I say, if they come alive, I'm reasonably confident that the picture's going to be a good picture. If you start off with ears or something like that and then come down and then make a mistake, you've wasted a lot of time with it. But I find once these eyes open, as I put it, I can connect with the subject that I'm drawing, and I'll really get into it then. I want to sort of get it finished. So I'm going to now swap colours and get a rather unusual colour, which again Derwent do, and they're probably the only people that do this. It's a colour called grey lavender. They do it in the Coloursoft range. They also do it in the artist range as well. Very useful, particularly for animals and for shadow areas. I don't know how they name these sometimes. I don't know if I'd call it grey lavender, but it doesn't really matter. It's a sort of a dull mauvey colour, and we can use that to give us all of these sort of areas around here, which are the scaly bits of the eye. And as I say, I'm working outwards now from it. And it means as well, one of the advantages for doing it, particularly on this where we're a little bit of time restraint on it, we can actually decide to stop at any moment, and it'll sort of go out to a vignette, a nice sort of soft finish. The whole purpose of it, the point, is getting into these areas, the eyes and the nose particularly. So this on the black surface will give you a nice sort of effect like this. And what I'm going to do now is start indicating the fur as we go around the outside. And then we've got quite a bit of fur up here. Now what I'm going to do before I start to do that, because this is quite a pale colour actually on the black, I'm just going to rub this back a little bit because I don't really want the white to show through. And then I'm going to start coming out like this in the direction of the fur. And it's the black bits in between that give us the really intense colour. And then this is just, it's the sort of colour, so if you've got a black cat or a black dog, you might notice in the sunlight sometimes you just get that sort of, where it's highlighted, it's not actually black, it can look sort of, well, this got a colour, grey lavender, a browny sort of colour like that. And so it's ideal for that, and the black will just give us the intensity on there. So we'll do it on that side, and then we'll come up to here. We've got a little bit of a colour over there, a bit of eyebrow, and then it comes up like this. Now it's important to keep the fur or the strokes going in the same direction as the fur, and even if you don't do very much, just leaving a bit out, it shows the general sort of shape of it. I'm going to rub this line out at the top as well, just so we can put that in there. With any sort of animal face, the direction that the hair or the fur, I don't know what the difference is actually between hair and fur, but somebody will tell me, but that will often indicate the underlying muscle structure. So particularly with short-haired animals, things like horses, which have got a lot of muscles in their faces, it's important that you keep your strokes going in the direction that the hair is going, because not only does that follow that direction, but it also indicates muscle that's underneath, so you can get some changes. So it's very subtle, but it just gives us that bit of a highlight on the out there. Right, let's just add a bit more detail onto the eye itself. Now I'm going to use another colour. We've got something called dove grey here, which works really well over the grey lavender. So we'll just put his little tops of the eyelids in. And this is another little mistake that a lot of people make. The eyelids, particularly the ones on the bottom, you can actually see a top edge on them as well, which normally catches the light. So in order to make them look three-dimensional, you must just see where those little areas of where the light's catching it actually come. And then we've got some little hairs underneath, coming down like that. And you can see hopefully already it's sort of spreading out, and we're getting quite a good impression of the shape of this creature. There's a bit of white to go in there. But let's go down to the nose area and start to put that on. And I'm going to use the grey lavender again for this. And we've got a nice sort of nose area here. So we'll come down. And this time I'm basically going to do the whole thing like this as a sort of circular motion. I've lost a bit of the definition there, so let's just put that back in again, where we've got the nose going down on the side. Okay, I'm just going to move up there and get rid of that white line. And we're going to do that over the whole of the nose area like that. And round there. And then we've got this sort of bit that tucks underneath here. Another little tip, if you get a chance when you're taking your photographs, if you can, it's always a good idea to take your sketchbook as well with you. But if you can, sort of make some notes about the shapes of noses and even the mouths and that as well. The reason is that often they're the things, particularly with these dark-faced animals, that when you get home and you look at your photograph, you think, oh, actually, I'm not too sure what was happening there. So if rather than just trying to draw the whole thing, if you actually get a little bit of the details of it, things that you can't maybe capture on all the photographs, you'll find that's absolutely invaluable. It happens a lot, things like sheep, for example. You know, if you see a picture of a sheep, you might think, oh, I've got all that I need there, but when you come to do the nose, you think, what on earth does a sheep nose look like? So if you've got all those sort of little details down, it can be really helpful. Now, just going to carry this colour on down here, and we're sort of on the way to getting the whole creature sort of mapped in like that. I'm being quite sketchy here. Normally, with the wolf picture that I've got behind me there, the reason it takes so long is that virtually every hair is done individually, so it can take a long time to do it. But with this particular picture, as I say, the most important thing is getting over his eyes and the character of the creature. So I can afford to be a little bit sketchier out here than I'd normally be, and that's what we're sort of aiming to do on that. So we've got the whole sort of thing roughly sketched in now, and I'm going to go back over the nose with the dove grey, and that will give us the sort of nose colour. And in fact, one of the nice things about it with this here, we can actually leave a little bit of texture. By that I mean some of the black is showing through it as well, so that it looks like that sort of rough bit that you get on a lemur's nose or a dog's nose. And one of the important things I think with all wildlife drawing is to try and get the different textures. The texture of the nose is different to the texture of the mouth and the fur, different lengths of fur, different types and things like that. So it's quite a challenge to sort of look at all those different bits and say, yeah, we can get that. And that's what makes the difference. So now we can start to see his sort of muzzle area. In fact, on the photograph, you can't see very much of the mouth at all, but I'm just going to put in a few hairs like that. There we go. And I think that might be a place to just sort of take a short break, and I'll come back and we'll finish him off and get some white on, and I think you'll see a really dramatic change in it once we start doing that. So I'll see you in a couple of minutes. Time for some adverts. See you soon.
Let us bring out the artist in you. If you'd like to learn how to paint or improve your painting, the SAA, Society for All Artists, is here to inform, encourage and inspire you every step of the way. When you become an SAA member, you get so many benefits, including the free bi-monthly newsletter Paint, packed with inspiring step-by-step projects, fascinating articles, and detailed information to get your creative juices flowing. Discounts on over 13,000 art products featured on the SAA website and in the Home Shop catalogue, with free order line and free delivery in the UK mainland. A devoted SAA team on hand to answer your questions and give you the confidence and motivation you need to start painting and develop at a pace that suits you. Plus, a free welcome pack filled with gifts and practical help to get you started, as well as the opportunity to make friends with like-minded people.
Best thing about being a member is the inspiration from the magazines, to be able to purchase things at a very reasonable price.
Yeah, you get the reduction on all the materials, the advice you get.
I can shop from home.
It's a community.
It seemed like a very friendly sort of organisation.
If somebody's thinking of joining, don't spend too long thinking. Just join. They'll love it.
And we're back. Right, well, welcome back. I picked up the white pencil. This is the exciting bit now because we're going to see quite a dramatic change in the next few minutes. And as I say, I'm using this Derwent drawing pencil, the Chinese white one, because it's really nice and soft. And I'm going to do the ears. Now, this is quite nice, this creature, because it's got very white ears, and not a lot of, you can't see inside them either, so it's quite nice to do sort of all the hair. So I'm going to use quite hard pressure on this. We're probably going to get a few bits fly off, but there we go. And you can draw out, and again, I'm looking at the direction that the hair grows in, away from the edge of the face there, like that, and right out to the outside of the ear. And I'm going to go quite carefully around this little bit here, where I pull out from the eye. Again, you see I'm just changing direction as the fur comes down like that. There we go. Now we can start really building out these lovely white fluffy ears. Lots of debris coming off the pencil, but that's all right. Now I can get really intense. It covers the black paper completely, this pencil, at that point. And then just at the outside, I'm going to go back to the colour soft one because I can get a slightly brighter point or sharper point on that, and we're just going to bring out some nice soft hair around like that. Just go carefully around the eye and a little bit off the nose as well. So we're going to pull off the nose like that just to give us, and that helps to define the edge of it. So there he's got these lovely white fluffy ears. We'll put a little bit on the other side as well. So try to run across here. I'm not so worried about this side because I can actually crop it with the mount on here. But again, pulling it out from the edge. You see, with this big pencil, we can make quite a lot of really quick progress with it. And you don't have to worry about sharpening it too much as well. We were talking earlier on, I said one of the things, if you get a group of, or you get two coloured pencil artists together in a room, guarantee within 10 minutes they'll start talking about pencil sharpness. It's a bane of every coloured pencils artist's life. There are various things you can use. The most important thing at all times is to make sure that it's sharp. Some people prefer using a scalpel blade or something like that. People say, oh, the trouble with coloured pencils, they break a lot. Well, often the reason they break is because they've been sharpened with a blunt pencil sharpener. A number of times I get people come to classes that have spent money, got lovely set of new coloured pencils, nice new pad and everything like that, and then they found a coloured pencil sharpener that grandma was using sort of 30 years ago, and then wonder why the pencils break. Well, the reason is, if it doesn't come off, when you sharpen it, if it doesn't come off in nice sort of pencil shavings, wood shavings, it's actually causing friction in the pencil, and the core of the pencil is then moving in the wood, and that loosens it, and that's why they break. So nice sharp pencil sharpener is really essential. So now we've got the hair going down there as well. We'll put a little bit more underneath later on. Now we just need to concentrate a bit more on the markings on the face. So again, with the white pencil, in fact, talking about pencil sharpening, let's sharpen it up. I actually have a selection of white pencils, especially for all the manufacturers. I just buy a white pencil from them because they all vary a little bit, and you may find that with one particular paper, one will be better than another. So now we're going to look for the white hairs that are on this. Now with this one, this is actually a black-faced lemur, and it hasn't got quite so much white on it, which is one of the reasons I obviously chose it for this demonstration. But it has got some, and round here, this area, is the area where you've got to be really careful about what direction the hair's going in, because it changes. Above this line, the fur's going up in that direction. Below the line, it's coming down like that. So we get a section in here where it's going virtually straight. So all I'm going to do is just sort of put some round marks, but following the shape of those where the fur's going, or the direction of the fur, like that. And what I'm doing, you can hear it, I'm sort of bouncing the pencil on the paper surface, which gives me little short, sharp marks that look like the short fur that we've got on the face. And depending on how much black we leave in between, we can get shades of white and shades of grey that occur on this area. So we'll just bounce it out into there and bring it into the nose area. And that's pretty much his sort of hair done there. There's a few little bits that come up here as well. He's obviously been worrying a bit. Got the grey hair coming up there. Here we are. Right, now, a bit more to do on the nose. We need to define the edge of the nose here, which I'm going to do with the white pencil. And we've got a few little shiny bits on it which indicate that it's sort of damp, wet nose, because they're sort of similar to dogs in some respects. Their noses are very important to them. And this bit that's tucked up under here. And then we've got this edge of it, which is on the other side, that is quite important, that comes out like that. And there's our nose defined. We don't need much more than that really. I think it's sort of, it gives you the idea of it there. You've got the little bit that comes down on the front. And we're just going to put in a few little marks around here just to show us where the mouth line sort of comes like that. Right. The black bit here will have white underneath it in a minute. And just carry these white bits. Now, around the edge of the mouth there, the fur changes direction again and comes around. So that all helps us to give the shape down there. And then at the bottom, we can put in the white. And there we've virtually sort of defined the whole of the sort of muzzle area with quite a few sort of little marks, not too many, but it all helps. Now, at the moment, they're pretty grey. Because I haven't pressed very hard. Now, what I can do is just in a few areas go in with a little bit harder, and that will make it whiter and give us those pictures, those little bits that we've got there. Right. So I think he's pretty much that part of it finished. I'm just going to bring the lavender down a little bit more, like that. And now we come to the important part of his whiskers and the other bits just to finish him off. So I'm actually going to define now the edge of the bottom of the mouth here with the white. So we'll go back to our really soft pencil and come down, and off the bottom of that come down for, I suppose it's sort of, this is his body fur behind there, fur on the chest. And as I said earlier, I'm basically going to make this sort of like a vignette, so it's going to sort of fade out at the bottom here, and then the hair down here as well as we come in. So we're making it sketchier as we sort of get in towards the bottom, away from the main point of interest. Like that. Okay, and we've got a few little streaks going down through there. Now, we need to get a sharp white pencil. I'm going to use the Colour Soft one again. And I've also got here one of the Faber-Castell ones, which is harder again. So, in fact, I might use that one, I think. And I'm going to put his whiskers in. Now, they've got quite a few whiskers, starting out from the side here. And the way to do this is to work out roughly how far you're going to take it out. And then it's a quick stroke with a flick on the end of it. That will give you a nice sharp point. So really you just got a deep breath and go for it. So we'll come out here, and there's one. Bring them out from the edge of the, and they don't all go in the same direction. There's some sort of come out here. Oh, it's a bit long, that one, but there we go. Okay, so there's the ones going on there. We've got some coming on the inside as well. So they actually sort of sprout from the little black marks that are in the muzzle part here. So we can come out and then like that, get a few more. There's quite a few sort of hang down like this. And we've got a few that go up into there. Now, I'm going to put a couple over his eyes like this. There we go. nice long eyelashes. And we've also got a couple of black ones in there as well, where go against the white. So we'll come back and let's just do a few in there. One there, one from the eye goes out into the black like that. And they all add to the character of this little fella. Right, couple of small things to do. I'm just going to put a little bit of shadow on the white down here where it goes into the rough. And come down like that. And a little bit up there as well, just where it fades into the hair. And the beauty of this is that you can stop it really at any time. We've got the eyes that are really detailed. We're happy with those. We've got the sort of indication of the other parts of it. And really, as I say, the thing actually is not to overwork it too much with this one. We're not going for a sort of a photorealistic type effect. It's more an impressionistic view of our little character here. So what I'll do, let's just put a mount over the top of it. And you can sort of see, I can use the mount to sort of check where things are. In fact, what I'll do, add a little bit more white down into this side here, I think, where it comes down. Always, if you've got a mount, it's a good idea to try it. It makes the picture look so much better. And you can get an idea then how it's going to be compositionally. I would set it to the left so that we've got this space that he's looking into there, rather than putting it slap bang in the middle. It gives it a little bit more drama, and it gives a picture some sort of narrative to it as well. And I think for that one, I think we can pretty much call that completed. I'll just show you a couple of others that are a little bit more finished. This is a ring-tailed lemur there, and you can see I've done a lot more work with this one on the white fur that's round here. And also with these particular creatures, they've got a little bit of brown up here as well. But you can see the rough fur that we get round here, it works really well with the white pencil. And this one is one that's got even more detail in it because we've got the nice tail in it as well. But the basic idea is still the same, keeping the eyes really, making them come alive, and then working out the different textures and that for the different elements of it.
We have a quick question for you.
Yeah.
Rachel asks whether you use any liquid or powder blenders, or do you always burnish with white?
No, with the black paper, because it's pastel paper, I find that it's actually better not to use a liquid on it. On the wolf there, for example, in the background, all of the background of that was blended using baby oil. There are other products that you can use, but I find baby oil works as well as anything. It does take a lot of working in. I mean, again, on the wolf there is about 4 or 5 different layers of greens and yellows to bring it forward. And you work very slowly, a bit at a time, put some baby oil on a cotton pad and run it around like that. And you'll get a very painterly type of finish with it. As I say, that's the advantage of using a watercolour paper, because it will take moisture. The thing I find with the pastel papers, particularly a black paper with that, if you're not careful, if you put the oil out onto the black, you will end up with a mark. So the best way is to actually try it and see. Try it on a piece of spare paper, see if there's any effect that the oil has on it. You can use a paper stump, is again quite a good blender for it as well. I quite often use that. And you can just use your finger as well if you're careful. Another little tip actually you can get now, and I'm sure that you can get them through the SAA as well, with the Copic ink markers that you've seen. You can buy an empty one. They're like a felt tip pen, basically. You've got one end has got a chisel point and the other end has got like a brush. You can fill them, take the little chisel point out and fill them with solvent. So I've got several of them filled with baby oil. Makes a nice smell as well. And you can then use that for very, very fine detail. So you can go in and sort of actually blend on the edge of it. Another thing, you can use a cotton bud or something like that. I tend to go and buy an awful lot of baby oil, which gets me some very funny looks in boots, but you know, it's a nice product to use, and it's much cheaper than some of the solvent blenders. Okay, well, I hope you've enjoyed the demonstration today. It's been great fun for me coming up here and seeing SAA and sharing some coloured pencil ideas with you. And I hope you'll give it a try. If you're new to art and want a medium that's reasonably sort of user-friendly to start off with, colour pencils is a great way to go. And hopefully there'll be some people, there's been a big resurgence in adult colouring books, as they're called, and maybe some people that have tried it through that would now like to sort of branch out a little bit and do some colour pencil work on their own. So hopefully you'll enjoy that. If there's any other questions that they can be put through and passed on to me, I'll willingly get back to anybody if you put them through that. So thanks very much for listening. Hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll say goodbye from Newark.
Hi, I'm Vic Bearcroft. I've created my half of the postcard and now I'm going to pass it on to my painting partner.
What have you got for me, Vic? Half a skull. What are you trying to say to me, Vic? Are you calling me an old fossil? Okay, let's see what we can do with it.